A second night in intensive care for Boris Johnson. His condition is said to be stable.
And I'm confident he'll pull through, because if there's one thing I know about this Prime Minister, he's a fighter.
We go inside a London hospital that's being completely reconfigured to deal with the coronavirus surge. The city where Covid-19 emerged, Wuhan in China, ends 2.5 months of total lockdown. Solving America's face mask crisis with supplies running short, we meet the amateurs making them at home. The acting Secretary of the Navy in the United States, Thomas Modly, has resigned after criticism of his handling of a crisis in which the commander of a ship stricken by coronavirus was removed from his post. On Sunday, Mr. Modly told the crew of the aircraft carrier that Captain Brett Crozier was too naive or too stupid to remain in command. France has seen a steep rise in its daily number of coronavirus-related deaths, registering 1,417. It's the country's worst figure to date. More than 10,000 people with the virus have died in France since the start of the pandemic. There's been somewhat better news from Italy, the country that so far has recorded the highest number of fatalities worldwide. Although another 600 people have died, the number of those currently with the virus has risen by less than 1%. The European Commission says doctors and nurses from Romania and Norway are being deployed to badly hit areas of northern Italy. Spain has seen a rise in the deadly figure for coronavirus-related deaths after 4 consecutive falls. 743 deaths registered in the latest tally, but the authorities say that some of this number can be attributed to deaths which took place over the weekend but had not been recorded. The co-founder of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, says he's committing $1 billion of his personal fortune to coronavirus relief through his philanthropic fund. Mr. Dorsey says the needs are increasingly urgent and said he wanted to see the impact in his lifetime. Other tech entrepreneurs have pledged funds to help those affected by the virus, including Amazon's Jeff Bezos and Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg. Living through this era means, of course, washing your hands, social isolation, and keeping up with guidance on wearing masks. Now, last Friday, the US Centers for Disease Control finally recommended that Americans wear cloth masks in public. The president, though, says he doesn't want to wear one. The mayor of Los Angeles told his residents to wear masks 5 days ago.
The sidewalks of Hollywood Boulevard, normally packed with people, are empty. They know it's safer to stay at home. Healthy people had been told when they do venture out there is little point in wearing a mask, but that advice has now changed. The owner of this Hollywood market is keen to follow the new guidance, but getting hold of masks has been tricky. Others are also rising to the challenge. Chris Burkett's work as a camera assistant has come to an abrupt halt. He also makes camera bags, but now he's making hundreds of face masks every week. They're not medical grade, but he says they are still wanted by hospital workers. Roller derby is a contact sport, impossible to practice while keeping a distance. So members of this LA team are making masks for people like essential workers at women's shelters. Their new challenge is sourcing materials. But now it's here, most have been quick to cotton on. And this creative community are doing it in their own style.
The American state of New York has now more confirmed cases of COVID-19 than almost any country. Its health system is in crisis. Voters in Wisconsin are facing long queues to cast their ballots as the state's presidential primary goes ahead, despite concerns over the coronavirus outbreak. In the city of Milwaukee, only 5 out of 180 polling stations are open due to a shortage of volunteer workers. Now, for many of us around the world, the coronavirus pandemic has changed how and often where we work in order to try and stop the spread of the disease. New research by the International Labour Organization, an agency of the United Nations, suggests that 4 out of 5 people have had their workplace fully or partly closed. Here's what the organization's Director General had to say about the findings.
It shows that in the coming 3 months, the second trimester of the year, we expect 195 million jobs to go around the world, job equivalents. They're spread out around the regions in percentage terms. The Arab world and Europe are the most affected. In sectoral terms, There are 4 sectors that we particularly highlight as being vulnerable: retail and wholesale, accommodation and food, business services and administration, and manufacturing. And that's where we are right now. Now, these are the short-term, the immediate impacts of a crisis which is hitting people with tremendous force and very, very quickly.